to this, and this, as the title says, is my review of Ring of Honor's Eye of the Storm DVD, which is the first 2008 DVD I purchased. A lot of you have asked me when the first ones of these I was going to get up. I just needed to wait for there to be four. How I usually buy them is I usually buy them in fours, unless there was a good sale with the buy one get one, buy three get one free, because that's about 25% off. Or if they have something better than 25% off, such as the sale I got this when they had the 33% off sale, which is also where I got the Best of TNA, which I already reviewed. Now, let's get started with this. For those of you not aware of what happened on the show, this was the show before the 6th anniversary show. It's in Deer Park, New York, and there was a huge major snowstorm that happened that night, which kept some of the wrestlers away, so they basically had to redo the card. Now, they had done this, they had to do this in Chicago a couple months before, in which we got Unscripted 3. And usually, that is what, when things like this happen, that's usually what we get is an unscripted card, as they call it. Decided to change things up a little bit, and instead we got a one-night tournament, which featured got some of the guys that had shown up, and then we had two matches which were not tournament matches. So this is basically a tournament DVD, and I'm always a sucker for tournament DVDs, so that is one of the reasons why I bought this, and I thought it was very good. So let's get on with the show, shall we? We started the night with Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero, and you know, a good match. I wouldn't call it a great match. I would give this 3 stars. You know, they did what you would expect Rocky Romero and Bryan Danielson to do. Bryan Danielson had tape around one of his legs. He was kind of selling a leg injury for most of the night. And this, like I said, this was a good match. Wasn't a bad match. It was a pretty good opener, I would say. And with Bryan Danielson going over, and a fairly, you know, good match. And then the next match we got was also a tournament match with Delirious versus Kevin Steen. This was a hilarious match. Both of these guys were able to play off of each other. It was a very good comedy match, which I always enjoy, particularly with Delirious. I love Delirious comedy matches. I think he does a better job than just about anybody, and that includes can't think of, now my mind just went blank. Colt Cabana is the only other guy I've seen that I think really today can really step it up and really make a comedy match look really good. So this was a good match. I enjoyed this more than the opener. I would give this 3 1/4 stars. So there you go, with Kevin Steen going over. The next match was Aries versus El Generico. This was out of just mat wrestling. This was probably the best of the first 4 matches, or the first 4 matches. With El Generico getting the surprise win off over Aries. Very fun. You know, kind of mismatch. There was just, I don't know, there was a weird vibe on this night. I don't know if it was just because of the weather or whatnot, but there was a weird vibe, and so a lot of the matches that probably should have been better just didn't seem like they were as good as they should have been. Again, this is a 3 1/4 star match. Still fun, still enjoyable. Got to see some good spots. Got to see both guys go out there and do what they can do. This is a one-night tournament, so you knew they weren't going to go full bore the whole night, simply because they probably didn't have it in them, and they didn't. And you had a bigger show the next night, so there you go. The next match was kind of a surprise match and a very big contrast of styles. We got Necro Butcher versus Shiozaki, who was making his debut. Go had wrestled in some of the shows in the UK for ROH, and of course he wrestled on the Tokyo show that ROH did, pretty much stealing the show with Bryan Danielson. This was an okay match. You had too big of a contrast of styles. Go, I don't think, was just ready to be in the ring with Necro yet. I think if they had held this off for a little while, I think Go, after being in ROH maybe about 6 months, I think he'd be able to work a better match with Necro. But and I think because I think Necro has the ability to work with guys from Japan. As you could tell, that there weren't any mistakes. It just wasn't as fluid as you would have liked. And it was stiff. Don't get me wrong, it was stiff and it was brutal and it was a really nice brawl, but it just didn't have that feel like a lot of the matches had that. A lot of these matches felt like they should have been better, but weren't for some reason, in my opinion. So, but a 2 1/2 star match. nothing too horrible. Next we had Bryan Danielson versus Kevin Steen. Another good match. This was another good 3.5-star match where they sold again Bryan Danielson's leg. The storytelling in this match was very good, and was probably what made this match better than some of the other matches, though it still just lacked sort of something. I don't know what it was, but it was just lacking something. That this whole night was kind of lacking. And then we got El Generico versus Go. This was another fun match, but like the previous matches, it just felt like it missed something. It had everything you would want, but it felt like none of the matches just went up into that next level. I don't know if it was because it was a Friday show and they were waiting to, for the Manhattan show or what it was, but it's still another good match, a good 3.5-star match with Go and El Generico really going out there and showing what they could do. Again, this was Go's first night in ROH, and I think he made a pretty good impression. Then we had a Four Corners survival match with a Human Tornado making his, I think this was his, no, this was not, this was his East Coast Ring of Honor debut. He was on the West Coast shows. And then Jason Blade, Pelle Primeau, and Mitch Franklin. Pelle Primeau and Mitch Franklin, for the first time, I felt like these guys shouldn't have been in the ring because Human Tornado and Jason Blade were so much bigger than them. It looked kind of strange, to be honest, and I think it kind of took away from the match. The match was pretty good, though. I thought, or not pretty good, but I thought the match was okay. Still, it was missing that whatever it was. Human Tornado was Human Tornado, which was nice to see. He's a guy that I really think Ring of Honor could use. I wish they could bring him in more because I really think he's the type of guy that I would like to see them more because he has so much charisma. I mean, this guy, if you've never seen Human Tornado, you need to see him because he's fun to watch, which is always a good key. Then we had the Vulture Squad versus the Age of the Fall. Jimmy Jacobs came out and introduced the newest member at this time of the Age of the Fall, which was Zach Gowen, of all people, which in a way kind of fit. They made it where it kind of fit because, Zach Gowen is always sort of this outcast. He's always seen as just this comic relief, kind of this gimmick type wrestler with the one leg. And this match was just okay. It wasn't as good as it should have been, and the reason was not because of Jacobs, or I felt because of Jacobs, or even Gowen, because I think Gowen, even with one leg, is pretty impressive. I think if he had two legs, he'd be even more impressive. I mean, he's got the skills. He does things better than a guy with two legs does. And a lot of, particularly some of the high-flying stuff, it's kind of fun to watch. But the Vulture Squad just seemed like they were just kind of going through the paces, particularly Ruckus. He just seemed like he was in molasses through part of the match. And Jigsaw was being kind of the bad Jigsaw that you see every once in a while. So it wasn't kind of what I expected out of this match. Still a lot of fun, but not just kind of an match, a good just 2-star match. And then we had the finals of the tournament, and the final match of the night, which was Kevin Steen versus Shiozaki, or Go Shiozaki. I want to put an N in there. Why do I want to put an N in there? There's no N. I'm sorry. Whatever. Anyways, Kevin Steen versus Go. This was another good match. I think for the first time we finally got a match that looked like it was a little faster paced, a little bit more into it, but it was still, I don't know, it was still missing something. The end though was pretty good with a lot of fighting spirit, as the Japanese fans would say. A lot of no-selling, to the extent that I think it hurt the match. I think they went a little too far with it, with the no-selling, and it just didn't come off very good. But other than that, I thought it was a good match, really good match, a good 3.5-star match. Overall, this was not a great, even though it has all of the, I mean, there really wasn't a bad match, and the vast majority of these matches were good. I mean, there's so many good matches on here, it's kind of sick. But the fact that it just seemed to be missing something all night. I don't know what it was. So I would say this was a good, but not a great pay-per-view, great DVD. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you really like tournaments or it's just something you want to see. But I would give it a 7.5 myself, and that's it. Thank you all. I will check you later.